Hello and welcome to the Everything is Roses podcast. I am Paula Kumans, joined by
Rafid Mahmoud.
And today is special because we have a guest.
Yes, we have a very special
Hello.
guest.
So who are you?
My name is Amelie Gould.
Very nice to meet you.
Yes, very
Nice to meet you guys.
Thank you.
So Amelie is our logo designer.
Oh yeah.
That is very big.
He's
in our-
such a
in our
big pause.
podcast. Yes.
But yes, she made the beautiful logo you see on our podcast.
Yeah.
Our signature look
Thank you guys.
was her creation.
It was my pleasure.
Yes.
So Amelie, can you tell us who you are? What do you do?
Okay, yeah. So like I said, Amelie Gould.
Mhm.
I'm a student at AUP. I'm double majoring in art history and fine arts. And I'm from New York originally. Yeah.
And you also have Polish background,
I do
as I
have-
understand.
I do have
Okay.
Polish background, yeah.
Were you raised in Poland, or is that just kind of a separate thing?
No, I was raised in New York, but my mom, she came to New York for university and met my dad, and that's why I'm from New York.
Oh, okay.
All right. Very
All right.
nice.
So we have two New Yorkers today.
Yeah.
Yes. we're
I'm
going to
I'm
bring-
alone here.
Well, there's, you can always go to New York and,
I've
and live in
been.
New York.
I've been to New York. I went in 2019.
But I'm talking about like living. NYU is
Yeah.
always an option.
It's
Well,
true.
too expensive. I'm not rich.
It's true. It's like 80,000.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty bad.
Maybe if this podcast blows up and we get rich,
Yeah.
which we will, then I'll go to NYU.
And we'll give you a portion of it to you, being our logo designer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll
So-
get royalties. Is that what they're called?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's get to the point.
Mm-hmm.
Now, art and music.
Yeah.
Are these two things what you would say almost define you? I mean, there's obviously many things that define a person, but are these like kind of the highlights?
I would say for sure. My parents are both musicians, so I was raised pretty musically.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
From a very young age, I had been going to just their concerts, kind of dragged along, and
Mhm.
I just some of my earliest memories are of them practicing
Right.
or
Hmm.
just dancing around to their music.
Sounds fun.
And art, I mean, I'm an aspiring artist,
Mm-hmm.
and art has always been a big part of what I had wanted to do in life, and I credit a lot of that to my dad, who would introduce me to art also from a very young age. Art and music definitely go hand in hand, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So what kind of art did he introduce you to?
I mean, I remember going to the Met with him, so obviously lots of classical pieces.
Right.
Always big fan of Monet and Rodin, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
lots of French artists.
Okay,
So it's
interesting.
perfect.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
that you're in Paris.
Exactly.
Yeah. So now you get to see the origin of a lot of stuff that your parents introduced
For
you to.
sure, yeah.
Mm.
So you think Paris so far kind of heightened those interests? Have you been able to be more exposed in these types of fields and arts?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say for sure. I'm currently art director at Depaysance magazine, which is based at our university, AUP. So that's a pleasure and a blessing, and through that
Mhm.
I've been able to meet a lot of rising upcoming artists in
Right.
Paris, but I've also been able to interview one of the head curators at the Centre Pompidou, which is
Oh wow.
so cool.
Wow.
Yeah, that sounds like a very good experience.
Yeah, for sure. I was very lucky to be able to do that. So I'd say Paris has really done a lot for me
Right.
Mhm.
in
Right.
the, what is it, like 2 years? This is my second year here.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So it's
So hopefully much more to come as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And you came here in I think the same time as us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
August
Mhm.
of 2023.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. So far this experience has benefited you in this kind of way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Interesting. And in terms of music, what kind of instruments did your parents initially kind of introduce you to? And what did you yourself see yourself pursuing?
Yeah, so my dad plays clarinet, and my mom plays violin. They're both classical musicians, so
Mm-hmm.
I'd been exposed to those, obviously, my whole life. I
Right.
tried learning both of those under the guidance of my parents, which did not work.
Really?
But yeah,
Why is that?
I feel like it's just like it's hard to learn from your parents, especially an instrument. I don't
Yeah.
know. It just like
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
That. Because when you're learning from your parents, there's like kind of a barrier
exactly
with taking it seriously, you know?
No, I remember very vividly. I was just sitting. Oh, I actually have a I have a story.
Mm-hmm.
My parents put me in piano
Mm-hmm.
lessons when I was like 5 or 6, with one of their friends, and obviously I took that a little more seriously. But I had a keyboard at home, and my parents were like, "Amelie, you have to practice. Like when you get home from school, you have to practice every day, like not all the time, but you know."
Mm-hmm.
They were trying to get me on that music grind.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
But I wasn't really into it, so what I would do is I would play, and my keyboard had a record feature, so I would just record, and I'd keep playing it over and over.
Okay.
And one time my mom came in with just, she heard there was like a mistake that I kept making, but it was really just the recording, and she walks in and I have my feet up on the piano and I'm reading a book.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when she pulled me out of piano lessons, and
That
Wow.
that marked the moment. You're
she
done.
was like,
Yeah.
I don't think
That's smart, though. I
piano
would be.
is- yeah.
Yeah, I would be proud of my kid if he figured out how to just record and loop a track just to avoid it.
It's so funny.
I don't think music was my calling, but
Right.
no, I guess the classical piano life wasn't for me, but I do really love classical music and I appreciate it. But in high school, I didn't know for the longest time that my dad had like a band in high school.
Oh,
Wow.
interesting.
And he played electric guitar, which is so random,
Wow.
especially
Very
for my dad.
different. Yeah.
But I had been wanting an electric guitar, and he still had his electric guitar, so I I was just like playing around on his electric guitar, and that kind of became my thing in high school. So
So
Yeah.
were you ever in a band?
no,
No,
No.
didn't follow in your dad's
I
footsteps.
didn't, unfortunately. But
Yeah, no, I get that. Because with things that your parents kind of introduce you to, there's always that barrier of, wanting to do it versus being forced to do it. And that interferes in your interest to actually pursue that
Yeah.
thing as a kid.
no, for
But
sure.
have you found that as an adult, your passion for music has kind of rekindled?
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel like ever since I moved to Paris, music just means something completely different to me.
Mhm.
I've been going to classical music shows with
That's right.
That's true.
right.
with you guys.
We went to a vast array.
We're gonna ignore the first one. we
No,
went to.
that was the
Yeah.
most memorable one. How could we ever ignore that one?
Yeah.
It was,
It was
for,
great. It was
for the
great.
viewers at home, it was a horror movie orchestra. And we didn't know that because none of the advertising material led us to believe that.
Yeah.
So we went there and we were just sitting waiting for some beautiful just melodies to play. And what came out was something out of a factory
Yeah, it was
that you were gonna probably be killed at.
very experimental.
Yeah, modern
Very, very
classical
modern.
music.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Good experience though.
yeah,
Memorable.
it was fun.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's good though. So the passion for music, it's still there, but it's not what you foresee as kind of being your career.
No,
Mhm.
no,
Right.
I don't think that will happen.
Yeah.
Growing up, my parents were like, "Amelie, don't become a musician." Don't
Oh,
Really?
really?
Yeah.
They said that.
Why is that?
It's just such an expendable thing.
Right.
Yeah, and also
Unfortunately.
competition, I imagine, is very, very
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah, for sure. But
Because the earlier you start in this field, the better, because you just kind of have a head start.
yeah, I mean, my mom especially, she had been working for so long as a child. She was like a child prodigy in Poland.
Oh,
wow.
So she was pretty deep into it from the get-go.
Mhm.
Right.
But I obviously did not inherit any of those genes. My sister either. We really did not choose to go that way, but
Okay.
apple didn't fall far from the tree because I'm in art now. So
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And
yeah,
is that what you see your career being based in?
I hope so.
Yeah.
And once again another scary field to get into,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
Of course.
it's hopefully what I will do in the future.
Right.
Yeah.
So what is, do you think, like, kind of your ultimate goal? Is it to open a gallery, or what do you think?
As of right now, I've been just thinking the goal is to curate probably at a bigger museum. I really love the Whitney in New York.
Awesome.
Maybe the Pompidou one day if my French gets good
Yeah.
good enough.
For sure.
But I also do make some of my own art that I have been selling, but obviously not in like it's not profitable enough right now. So I'm
Okay.
trying to work on that. That will hopefully one day
Yeah.
Right.
be something more solid and yeah.
Exactly.
So, like, what is that like, selling art now? Is it very difficult, especially with kind of AI being kind of released? And
Yeah. I am very worried by AI.
Yeah.
AI is really terrifying me, especially in terms of art. It's just I've seen too many like there's these bands that I follow who have used AI art for like their music videos, and it's just so sad because all the comments will be like, why did you do this? Like,
right.
you could have had such better art from like a person who is passionate about what they do. And yeah, I think it's terrifying, especially how fast like AI moves in terms of like how it develops. But I think there's definitely something in human produced art that is not in AI art.
Right, you can't
Yeah.
replicate
You
it.
There's a
can't
charm to
replicate it. Yeah.
And yeah, as you said, it's scary the rate at which it's developing.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I remember like a year or two ago, AI art was terrible,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
humans. If you looked at their fingers or any like limbs,
Yeah.
the fingers would always be messed up. There would also always be an extra one, and
Yeah.
you could easily tell this was AI. But nowadays, I see a lot of art like on YouTube. Typically, there's those videos with 2 hour long videos with music playing,
Yeah.
music to relax to or whatever,
Right.
and it's this beautiful art. And you go in the comments and they're asking for the source because people don't even realize anymore that it's AI.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
So it's
It's
getting to a
crazy.
point, even now, where it can replace the real thing.
Right. So, I mean, what do you guys think, like, I mean, this is a little bit more abstract, but because of this, the rise of AI art, is art kind of being redefined now? Like, is it taking a different form?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I don't know. I think that I'm just a bit worried because if people call AI art,
Right.
then it just I feel like it devalues everyone, like human art
Yeah.
in a sense.
Yeah.
It
Because
kind of opens up the umbrella too much.
yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, it, like, when you put them together, it's an insult to human art.
Yeah,
and-
because it's like if you have this beautiful painting that someone spent so long doing
Right, right.
next to this like AI produced thing that a computer made in like a few seconds, it's just like that in itself is so crazy to me.
Right, right.
And I also feel like artists especially are like the worst group to have this happen to.
Yeah.
Because even as an artist, it's so difficult to find clientele. And also
Yeah.
clientele that actually know your worth and will pay you your worth. Because
Exactly.
99% of the time, artists on Twitter or on social media, or any artist in general, when they make a piece and they try to sell it, typically they're really selling it for cheap. And
Yeah.
they're not selling
Right.
it for anywhere near the price that it's actually worth.
Yeah.
And now it's getting even worse because not only are they not making enough money, they're also just losing that clientele,
Yeah.
which is moving towards AI.
Yeah.
So it's a very tragic thing to see happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean it applies to so many things like writing, music. It's
Mhm.
just
Exactly.
it's so limitless, and
Mm.
even you can even go as far as like self checkouts at a Walmart.
Yeah.
You see like these workers just standing there doing nothing,
Mhm.
and all they're doing it's like in case customers need help just with whatever
Mhm.
like the machine's
Yeah.
not working.
Yeah.
They're
Like,
just it's crazy.
so
Truly.
I mean it's like a worldwide trend. It's,
Yeah.
people are getting kicked out.
Yeah, and there's
replaced
those
by-
drive-throughs as well that have like
The
automation.
AI, yeah.
I think in Japan.
Really, that's a thing.
Or in
Yeah.
America,
Jesus.
where the entire drive-through is automated and there's an AI, and you
Mhm.
order and it prepares your order with a machine. There's no one. I think it's like a restaurant that literally has no humans in it.
Wow.
It's just takeaway and it's operated by AI. I think it's either in Japan or some place in the US.
Yeah.
But yeah, like those kinds of scenarios that once seemed so far away and distant and unlikely are now becoming such a common thing.
Right.
Even
right.
in our time. Like you'd think maybe, in 50 years it'll get to that point, but no, it's happening now.
It's so scary.
Yeah. But yeah. But in terms of the positives though, do you find any positive benefit from AI? Like in finding inspiration for your art or
Do
anything
you-
No.
like that? No?
Can you befriend the enemy?
No. I don't find
Yeah.
any inspiration, and I don't get any emotions from art,
Mhm.
Yeah.
from AI produced art, and I think that's a big part of art.
Mhm.
Why do people go
Yeah.
to galleries? Why do people go to museums?
Mhm.
Big part of it is to experience the emotion that art produces.
Right.
It has it produces different feelings and different emotions for everyone, and
Mhm.
I feel like that's really not, I don't see that in AI art at
Mhm.
all. There's really, it's just
Yeah.
scary,
So
and
there's just no benefit.
I'm gonna say it's awful. I really
Yeah.
just don't like
Mhm.
AI art.
Okay, interesting.
I have
Right.
crazy beef with AI.
Well, maybe you can have a boxing match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next
That's
episode.
that's
stay
one way to
tuned.
get the income in.
Yeah, for sure.
Amelie versus AI.
New podcast episode.
It'll be on
Yeah.
Netflix. They'll stream it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be huge. We'll be your trainers. We'll be in your
Okay.
corner.
Thank you.
Yeah.
AI
But-
will just train itself.
No, we'll like put oil in it or something. Wait, no, that makes it run better. We'll put like coffee inside. We'll put Paulo's handmade coffee in the
My-
AI
my
machine.
French
It's
press
great
coffee.
Yeah,
Great
it'll-
coffee, Polo.
Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
It'll
AI
rust
could
it.
not make that. Well,
Mm.
actually, it could.
But-
no, it couldn't. It couldn't.
But in terms of art, so to my understanding, your parents didn't really have a career in art per se.
No.
So what exactly kind of propelled you in that direction? What was your kind of awakening to the world of art?
I honestly,
Just happened.
Just an irrational.
I feel like, yeah. I mean, I had art classes in middle school,
Mhm.
elementary school, and whatever, nothing crazy. Once I got to high school, my high school was very, very academically rigorous, and we had no art
Mm.
whatsoever, and I was very, very upset about that.
Wow.
Mm.
We had no visual arts.
Oh.
And I feel like out of spite, I was like, I'm gonna go do art.
Yeah. Rebel.
Yeah.
And somehow I just started making art for fun. Nothing
Mhm.
crazy. I never had taken like classes or anything like I had when I was little, but I don't know, it's just I feel it's so freeing and it's so beautiful to be able to express yourself
Mhm.
in a form like that.
Hmm.
Yeah. I completely agree.
But and I had a lot of fun making my t-shirts that I would sell over the summer.
Mhm.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
it just made me so happy to see like people buying them, getting excited, and like wearing them around.
Wow.
Like
Really?
that was so crazy because I don't know, like I was just like sitting in my room like drawing these
Mhm.
random
Right.
designs, and I was like, this would look cool on a shirt, and like just to make some cash over the summer, I would sell them around the city, and
Yeah.
it worked pretty well.
Mm.
Well,
Yeah.
that's cool. You're able to produce something pretty much out of like nothing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
I've definitely like in the podcast has kind of been that for us
Yeah.
because I personally have never had any kind of exposure to art. My family has never really dabbled in that, and it never went beyond just drawing cartoons as a kid.
Right,
Very
yeah.
badly too. But yeah, and I've always been interested in music and art, and I mentioned this before too. I want to start getting into piano,
Yeah.
and I might get into that very quickly, or very soon. But in terms of art, I've never really drawn anything, or had the classes or anything like that. But yeah, as you said, it's very, very nice to have
Yeah.
the ability to create something out of thin air, and then have a tangible effect that you can see.
Exactly.
Like with the t-shirts that you said, like
yeah.
you created that out of nothing, and then you see the joy and the effect that has
yeah.
with other people. And yeah, that's kind of similar to what this podcast has been for us.
Mm.
Like you just get this outlet that you can pour yourself into
Yeah.
with passion. And when it becomes a passion thing, that's really when it becomes enjoyable.
Right.
So
For sure.
I agree with you there.
Yeah, no, that's very relatable. I
Mhm.
think just the ability to put your effort into something other than just like simply university work.
Right.
Mhm.
I mean, I remember that was what I would prioritize. I need to get this assignment done,
Yeah.
and if I don't, then I'm just a failure.
Yeah.
I can't do this successfully. What can I do
So
successfully?
harsh.
So I think like doing these side activities and really like kind of manifest your passion. I think
Mhm.
it's something everyone should do.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean even like taking that intro to drawing class, for example, I could not draw anything.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I can see my drawing gradually improve, it's rewarding.
Yeah.
It's like it. I see that little smirk.
We're not
This
doing,
is the third
we're not
time
doing
I
this.
see your small
We're
smirk.
not doing this again. I can't. Just the words intro to drawing trigger something in me.
Yeah, we're not even gonna talk
We're not
about
gonna
what happened.
ignore that.
Okay, so anyways,
Mm-hmm.
now I got an interesting question. It's not that
Alright.
interesting, right?
Tell us.
So kind of, I'm a history major, so I'm gonna make it sound historical.
Okay.
So in
As they tend to do.
so in history, you see that art is used kind of as a form of freedom and
Mhm.
expression during periods of oppression, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
But at the base level, kind of for you personally, how has art kind of helped you? Like, because it's been able to give people a way to express themselves, to help themselves. But for you personally, though, how do you see art doing that?
I mean, like I mentioned before, I think it's really just the pure expression, and I like watching my art make other people happy or how they react to it. I think seeing people have something to relate to
Mhm.
is something so beautiful, and especially if it's something you made.
Mhm.
And I don't know, I just think that there's so much that can be done with art, and you don't have to have any sort of, I don't know, like talent or anything. Like
Mhm.
everyone's an artist. It's just you have to put yourself out there,
Right.
and whatever you can produce, and if it makes people happy, if people can relate to it, then I think you're in a good spot.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it's a skill that you can work on, and as you said, it doesn't
Right.
require any natural born talent.
Yeah.
It's just like singing. Like it's scientifically proven that everyone can sing at a
Right.
very high level if they train to do so.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's literally just a skill that you train,
Yeah.
and it's the same with drawing. It's something that you put time and effort into,
Yeah.
and when something is like that, where you can put in so much of yourself into it, and then see other people react to it,
Yeah.
that provides such a good kind of environment to work with. Are you checking yourself out?
No. What? What is
I'm
this?
talking here about
I'm listening.
about profound art, and I see you fixing your
He's
hair.
like,
I'm just like in my peripheral, trying not to look over there. But yeah, Paulo's hair. Let's draw that.
I'm gonna stay silent for
Yeah.
a minute.
All right, cool.
So,
just a silent minute for
Yeah.
for the dead people.
Continue.
Well, I don't know where to go from that.
All right, fine. I will.
Give us another interesting question.
Yeah, I'm gonna assert myself now after
Mhm.
that rude
Wow, so it was rude on my part. It wasn't rude
Yeah,
for
no,
you.
Just
It wasn't
saying
rude.
it.
It wasn't rude for you to check your hair.
No,
while
I
talking.
was not.
He was fixing his hair. He had to,
Mhm.
he was doing his own art.
Of course, it's an expression.
Yeah.
All right, carry on.
We get haircuts.
Wow.
So, anyways,
Mhm.
art, right?
Yes.
So, we've discussed various topics around art, right?
Mhm.
But I feel like I cannot. With you looking at me like that.
What is? We are just we. This is terrible.
This is a terrible pause.
We're very professional, by the way.
This
We run a
is so-
tight operation here, as you can
I
tell.
don't know what we were even talking about.
I'm gonna have to
We're
close
talking
my
about
eyes
art.
when talking now. All right.
Wow. So this is a blind podcast now. For our blind viewers at home. For the inclusion. We like to keep it diverse. and-
What?
Ask your question, Paulo.
I gotta generate the question first.
All right, fine. I'll
Yeah.
I'll chime in with something.
All right.
So, music, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us what about.
So no,
music?
I'm actually curious though. Would you, in the future, I don't know if you plan to have kids or not, but would you envision yourself introducing them to these fields, or would you, like as your parents did, kind of warn them and maybe just let them do their own thing and decide for themselves whether they want to do it? But would you like give them the classes or the opportunity to at least dabble in this kind of thing first?
For sure. I mean, I think if I had children,
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely raise them on classical music and
Yeah.
just the music I like. I
Right.
feel like that's how it is like most of the time, but I would definitely throw some classical music in there and art.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, if that's not what they want to do, then I'll let them do whatever they want to do. Like, I won't force anyone
Mhm.
to do anything. I'll very much do my best to follow their passions or
Yeah.
anything, but as a general thing, yeah, I would for sure
Yeah.
introduce them to some music and art.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like it's a very important thing because
Yeah.
it helps you understand how to think about these kinds of things. Like for me personally, I do not understand art at all.
That's true.
I can look at a painting and I have no clue what to even analyze about it.
Wow.
Oh, all right, you having a good time there?
Yeah. No.
But yeah, I can look at a painting and like it's just drawings to me. Like I can appreciate it and all that stuff, but I don't know how to analyze it in the kind of educated way, I would say.
Yeah.
Maybe there's not an educated way, but I'm sure there's a way for you to kind of understand the meaning and the representation behind the art,
Yeah,
at the very least.
You can go. I can't stop laughing. I'm sorry.
Wow.
I mean, okay.
Mhm.
I wouldn't say there's like I think once again back to the whole emotional aspect, there are definitely like some like aspects of paintings, especially like old ones that are like references to, I don't know, like biblical figures or whatnot. But you don't need to know any of those references to enjoy the art. I truly believe that you can make whatever you want
Mm-hmm.
out of a piece of art,
I
and
see.
you can interpret it completely quote unquote wrong,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
and it will still mean something to you if you connect with it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, this is what I've been in art history classes. It's my second year now in art history.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've learned that there's so much to analyze about paintings. Like,
Yeah.
it's very, like,
There's
I
too
don't know,
much.
There's so much.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
falls into kind of subjectivity at that
Yeah.
point, where there's no objective way to find a painting, look at it, completely analyze it, and then
Right.
put it into text and be like, okay,
Yeah.
this is what this is saying.
Right.
There is no other interpretation.
Right.
It's kind of like a build your own imagination
Exactly.
and interpretation
Yeah.
from it.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I find with abstract art though, it's very, very difficult.
I was gonna
Mm.
say the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, I struggle so much looking at modern art
Mm-hmm.
personally. I mean, like, I do appreciate it. I think it is cool seeing things being made that you wouldn't even kind of imagine previously.
Yeah.
But to understand the meaning, I can't figure it out.
Yeah.
I feel I enjoy a lot of contemporary art, but I really look up to the ideas of the surreal and Dadaists because they were kind of anti-art in a sense, and they just took like everyday objects and just there's this one piece it's just literally a urinal, but it's titled The Fountain, so it's like a play on
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, interesting.
And I just think it's ridiculous, but in such an interesting way, because like I would have never thought to do that, like and that piece specifically did what it had to do. It pissed everyone off, and he got so much attention from it, and it's just like, I don't know, I think it could be harder to interpret, because like, what does that mean, you know, like what is the meaning behind it, but
just a guy having fun.
Yeah, that reminds me of like this one thing I saw where it was like a French ad. I'm sure you saw it. Like, it's a cigar, or not a cigar. What is it?
Is
a
it the
pipe?
pipe?
A pipe. The pipe. And
that's
this is not a pipe.
Yeah, that's a
I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
I believe that's either, it might be Dolly. I don't know.
Oh, actually, is it?
It's I don't. God, I'm not a good artist.
It's all right. When you're put on the
not
spot,
a good artist.
It's either Man Ray or Dolly. No, it has to be Dolly. It's either Man Ray, Dolly, or Duchamp. But
Okay.
So sorry.
One of the two.
No.
I need to fact check this.
No,
but
you're all right.
No, we've said some.
We've been scientists. We've been psychologists.
Have you heard the alien conspiracy?
Yes. Go check out episode 1 where we dive into the completely fact-checked science with evidence.
God, now I need to know who did that.
We need to get a fact checker, a fourth person.
Oh, that's awful.
That's right.
I need to. I'm gonna literally, after we finish this, I'm gonna Google it.
Just look it up.
But
We'll get a
forgive
fourth
me.
person.
Forgive me.
I don't even know.
I don't either.
But yeah.
Yeah, no, I
It's
agree.
just-
I went to the Pompidou, which is a museum in Paris for abstract art mainly. And when I went there, I just came out more confused than I went in.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely sensed that was the point, but I also sensed that it wasn't a place for someone like me, or me personally, at least.
Okay.
In terms of just, I had no connection to the abstract art.
Yeah.
I find a lot of connection to just normal, traditional art that you'd see in normal museums, like in the Musée d'Orsay, for example.
Right.
I went there for a project once for a class that I was doing. And I just, after I finished gathering the materials that I needed, I just roamed around the floor. And I found a lot of paintings that I could connect with and relate with. And it was just a very, very good experience in that sense. But when it comes to abstract art, there's that connection just disappears for me.
Right.
Yeah.
So the Pompidou was, it's not my thing for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's completely fine. There's like so many artistic movements, and you have
there's so much.
like you can choose from any. And
Yeah.
Like I like what's it called? Like I like the more realism type paintings.
Yeah.
I really do enjoy those.
Mm-hmm.
Just realized my microphone was away from my mouth, so hopefully that was heard.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I do enjoy when artists actually depict the reality. That's kind of more of my thing.
Yeah.
But then now people would be like, no.
It needs to be as
No.
fantastical as possible.
You cannot do that. You cannot.
Yeah. I mean, like, you can do whatever you want.
Right.
So you like the ultra realistic type thing where you kind of can't even distinguish whether it's real or a painting kind of thing?
No.
Photorealism.
Yeah,
Photorealism. Well, I do like
I think.
photography, so maybe that's kind of why. But I just do like when artists are able to depict scenes, and I don't mean like ultra realism. I think
Right.
that's now a new thing, right? Where people are getting like on the dot
Yeah.
type paintings.
Exactly.
I just appreciate like those Renaissance ones.
Oh
even.
yeah, for sure.
Because it's nice that you can depict a scenery that you may or may not kind of confront. I know there's a lot of bibliographical,
Yeah.
like those mythological figures in
Yeah.
there. So it's not.
Yeah.
The angels,
yeah.
be not afraid.
They
Right.
went kind of crazy.
So not all the time you're gonna get like an ultra realistic scene, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's the type of things I appreciate. So I mean, like, yeah, it's I guess it's really just what type of genre really speaks to you.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah.
And there's so many different types of art in general. So
Yeah, it's like such a big medium. You can't
Yeah.
really categorize it in terms of just one specific style,
Yeah.
or
Right.
even one medium. Like there's paper, there's oil paintings, there's like whatever. I'm not
Yeah.
an art major, clearly, but yeah, there's tons
yeah,
that you guys probably know.
cave paintings.
Cave painting is my favorite, by the way.
I do like cave
There's
paintings.
a
Yeah.
lot, yeah. Yeah. There really is the opportunities, the options, everything is just endless with art.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. There's just really so much that could be done with anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
And it's such an interesting thing because people put their own spins on it, and you kind of have new breakthroughs in every generation
For sure.
because it's such a vague field that people just find something incredible to do with it every time,
Right.
and it's incredible.
Yeah, and what I like about art is that it takes different forms, which people don't even realize.
Mm.
Like I think, like consumerism, for example, the labels that you see on products,
Mm-hmm.
that's art, and
Yeah.
the way that they entice people to purchase these items.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's all art,
Yeah,
and so it's
marketing.
yeah, it's like it's cool seeing how, yes, you have the stereotypical idea of art, which is a painting on a wall,
Mm-hmm.
and you just appreciate it, okay?
Mhm.
Yeah.
But then you also have art that takes these forms, and it's like it really kind of changes the way that people actually think of what it is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know, it's again, I keep going back to the dystopian type future, the AI. It's like and like what do you, I mean, would art, maybe art will kind of take a form in which it counters AI, if you know what I mean. Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
you have what AI can produce. It can produce these images and replicate
Mm-hmm.
already existing art in a
Yeah.
different form, but perhaps art is going to take a different form in which AI is not even able to replicate. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure, I can understand that. Because, yeah.
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I feel like even going back to the Dadaists, like how Duchamp was all like, oh, like I don't want, like all these galleries are having all these like artists, like I'm
Mhm.
gonna do something anti-art. I'm gonna put a urinal. I'm gonna put a shovel hanging from the ceiling. That was another one of his pieces.
right.
I feel like we're gonna have some sort of anti-AI art,
Yeah.
which maybe I'll be a part of. I
Yeah,
will
you can
be.
be the
Yeah.
I already
catalyst.
am a proud AI art hater.
Yeah. Well, you just have to make that
But-
into a reality.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I just it it even goes, I'm just gonna go back to like making my clothes and stuff. Like
Mhm.
I follow a lot of artists on Instagram on whatnot that sell their own designs on shirts, clothes, whatever, small businesses, and they get ripped off by these fast fashion labels,
Yeah.
fast
Right.
fashion brands, and it's like it's like back to undervaluing your art. I sold my t-shirts for, people told me I could have paid more, but I was honestly worried that people
Wouldn't you
charge
buy
more.
them?
But yeah.
Mhm.
Exactly.
So that's like a whole other dilemma.
Mhm.
It's just so crazy to see like art getting stolen, but like in the form of fashion as well. It's just you
Mhm.
can't escape
Right.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
It's unfortunate.
That's interesting. Like the part of like stealing art. It's
Yeah.
like, I mean, what do you think kind of like defines stealing? Because you can be inspired. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I see that quote a lot where it's like inspiration isn't stealing. And a lot of media, well, I don't personally agree with that or disagree with that. That's just kind of a quote that's in there. But you see a lot of media. For example, I consume a lot of Japanese media. And like manga, anime, these kinds of things, they are very, very, very heavily inspired by one another. Like a
Right.
lot of the big kind of shows or books in that kind of medium are trendsetters for the
Right.
ones that come after.
Right.
And there's a lot of direct inspiration that you can see in that
Yeah.
medium. And so but both are good. So it's kind of like a controversial argument that, is it really bad if you're doing it, or is it bad if you're doing it in a way that's paying homage,
Right.
or can you still be allowed to do it if you make tribute in a very respectful way, or should it just not be allowed at all?
Yeah.
Because it's very hard to kind of, I guess, filter that kind of stuff and put
Yeah.
restrictions on it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like the special part of that is if you're able to set those trends
Mhm.
and actually get people to almost copy your art, I think then that's actually a compliment in a
Yeah.
way.
Mhm.
You were successful in inspiring people,
Yeah.
and I mean that's kind of how genres form, like movie genres. It's not like, oh, I want a cowboy type genre
Mhm.
out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It was, I
Mhm.
guess it was probably just there was this first Western style movie that came out,
Mhm.
and people thought, let me just hop on this trend. This is such a great idea.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I feel like for sure inspiration is, that's something that I've struggled with in my art. It's like I'll go to a gallery and see like a cool piece and I'm like, oh, I wish I could like, do something like that. But then it's like I always have this guilt of like trying to, like, I don't know, it's just like it feels like I'm copying or like being unoriginal. But
Yeah.
right.
obviously artists inspire each other. Like I'm heavily inspired by the art that I consume, and obviously I don't steal anyone's art.
Right.
So, but
Disclaimer.
I have not stolen art
Don't come after.
yet.
Yeah.
Yet.
But yeah, I just feel where it gets to be a problem for me is people like profiting off of stolen art. That's
Yeah.
obviously like a like in terms of like back to the shirts. Like if
Right.
someone were to steal someone's design like exactly and then start selling them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
and
obvious.
that's obviously
Yeah.
an issue.
And
But
that happens very commonly too.
yeah, for sure.
Like with big fashion brands just completely stealing
Mhm.
the ideas of maybe one of their small kind of designers or
Yeah.
another designer entirely. And
Yeah.
all they have to do is just slap their logo on it.
Yeah.
Because in terms of fashion, like the fashion industry is so fascinating in that way, where a lot of the gigantic brands like LVMH and these companies that own
Mhm.
a
Yeah.
majority of the fashion brands, they don't sell you products, they sell you prestige.
Mhm.
You're paying for the logo on the shirt. Like
Yeah.
the shirt
Yeah.
itself costs them probably $30 to make, and they're gonna sell you that shirt at like 3,000 euros.
Right.
Yeah, and there's also like appropriation. I mean, I was just reflecting on like the LV I don't even know what it is, like the Western fashion show.
Right.
Did you see that?
The cowboy exhibition thing?
Yeah, like the runaway whatever. So they just had all of this Western aesthetic.
Yeah.
I mean, and you see these cowboy boots that already have been produced. There's nothing special about these
Right.
LV cowboy boots except for the fact that there's an LV logo on it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's just like I mean, yeah, so it's you kind of have two sides of this.
Right.
You have the ability to inspire,
Mhm.
and also the fact is you are subconsciously using other people's art when you're forming
Yeah,
your own
yeah.
art.
Yeah.
It's inevitable. It's how like all types of, even beyond art, like cultures form, and
Right.
technology. We're all using the past
Yeah,
for the present.
exactly.
But yeah, so you have that side, but then you also have this other side, which is really kind of like morally, I don't know.
Ambiguous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a nice word.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's tough because you kind of just have to come to terms with the fact that if you want to produce something worthwhile, you have to take inspiration
For
Right.
sure.
to some
Yeah.
extent. And yeah, I can imagine how that would be tough for you.
Yeah.
Because I like put myself in your shoes while you were saying that. I was like, yeah, if I went to a gallery and I was trying to make a piece, if I saw something I really liked, I couldn't help but feel like I'm literally copying it when I
Right.
make my own piece.
Yeah.
And yeah, I get that for sure. It's like if you find a really good source online while writing an essay,
Right.
And
yes, the plagiarism.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, I really like his words, but I can't copy and paste.
Yeah.
So I have to paraphrase, but now I feel bad because this dude put in work writing this. So yeah, universal struggle. The struggle of art extends beyond.
It extends. And in music as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I
it's all
mean,
forms.
John Williams,
Mm.
most of his music is just ripped off from classical composers.
Oh wow!
I didn't
Most
know
of
that.
his scores.
Damn,
Sorry, John.
John, shout out
But-
to you wherever you are.
Well, kind of a negative shout out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Wow.
come on the show and defend yourself.
Yeah, but I mean, like his what are they called? Scores. Movie scores are iconic.
Yeah.
That's the
Like
that's
the Star Wars.
thing. Yeah.
Star Wars
Oh, okay,
track.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm only familiar with like the super famous movie composers like Hans Zimmer and.
Well, John Williams
John
is
Williams
super
is-
famous.
Well, no,
Yeah.
I know, but I haven't seen Star Wars at all,
Oh, okay.
so
yeah.
I'm not familiar, and I'm also not I'm just not into movies that much.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
fair enough. But yeah,
I only know Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer is
Interstellar
a good
guy.
one. He's a good one.
I
Yes.
represent the basic average human intellect over here.
Well, I think the average person has seen Star Wars.
That's true, actually. I'm below average. Okay, thanks for putting me even lower. I set myself at a
That makes you unique, you know?
Yeah.
yeah. That's
You-
the word that teachers use when they're.
You're
With
an
your students.
art piece, bud.
That's
You
true.
are
I'm
so
an example
unique that
of what not to do. So go watch Star Wars, or you're gonna end up like me. You won't know who John Williams is.
Okay, so with that though,
Yes.
we are closing in to the end of the podcast.
Yes, it's
because-
been
Wow.
46 minutes.
Yeah.
Very, very good, very enlightening discussion.
Very good 46 minutes.
Yes.
Yes, you know, I'm really glad that we've evolved from alien conspiracy theories to artistic discussions.
To AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's
And we find a way to attach a dystopian future every time.
that's true. Actually.
Or you find a way, actually.
Yeah, I'm always
Maybe
happy.
it's like your Roman Empire, You're just always thinking about it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, with that though,
Mm-hmm. So, with that has been a wonderful episode. Amelie, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
It's been very educational for me personally. I know who John Williams is now. And that's the only thing I took from that entire discussion.
Real. Still
Yeah.
thinking about that pipe.
Yeah.
well, we're gonna search it up right after
Oh,
this.
You
yeah.
know who
I
it might
forgot
be? It
about that.
might have been Rene Magritte's, but I'm not. Anyways, yeah.
We can place a
Put out-
bet.
Put out every possible option so that one of them has to be true.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
It was Da Vinci. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Probably. He
It
inspired
was
it.
Paulo.
Paulo Picasso.
Pablo Picasso. Yeah. All right. Well, it's been very nice to have you guys with us. Hopefully, you enjoyed this episode and found it thought provoking. And if you enjoyed it, make sure to give us a follow on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you're listening on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, share this with anyone who would enjoy it. And have a great day. We'll see you next time.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.